Let's take a look at actually using this model in industry, because the models we create here aren't requiring necessarily that we use Solver in order to make use of them. So in this case, we're again trying to meet our production plan at the lowest cost, but we could use this model straightforward. Certainly, now that we have the ability to hire and fire, we could do a couple things. We could match our production directly to demand. So let's go ahead and produce, keeping ending inventory at 0, and see what our costs do. So in the first case, we need obviously 130 to take this to 0. And if we simply follow up with whatever's needed at the ending inventory to take that to 0, if we produce that each month, we'll end up literally matching production to demand. The problem we had with this in the previous model was that we never had enough employees in those middle months to cover the production. So this simply gives us an initial production plan to keep inventory at 0. Of course, we don't have the capacity here, and we can now match our capacity to our production. In fact, we can lay off people to reduce our capacity at times. So if we go down to, for example, 32, we don't want to lay off 32. If we lay off 1, you can see our production capacity is at 179, but we only need 130. Let's go ahead and lay off 5, and we can even go higher. Let's go 8. We can see laying off 10 isn't quite going to be feasible. So we could lay off potentially 9 and take our production capacity down to the lowest value that covers our production. We again can match this in future months by adding employees as needed. Let's go ahead and add, it looks like 4, perhaps 5 to meet production in that month. And in this case, to get this, our capacity in excess of the 200 production needed, we're obviously going to have to add a number more. Let's try adding another 5. It looks like 7 will do the trick. And you can see when we take a look at it what the costs are going to do when we create a perfectly matched production to demand and simply change the number of employees we need. So in this case, we probably need to go up to maybe 10 or more employees added. Not that many. Let's add 4, and that takes us to about right. Now at this point, we can start reducing the number of employees we need to meet production. And we've already seen in the previous period that 160 need 29, hence we can get rid of 11 of our employees. And then finally down to 150, we can probably get rid of another 2. And that will take us to what's acceptable as far as meeting production. Of course, this isn't going to bode well for employee motivation because they're seeing their coworkers constantly laid off and hired. And let's take a look at our total costs. You can see here that we have a lot of hiring and firing costs. We've certainly minimized our regular time wages because we've only brought in workers as we needed them and got rid of them when we didn't. We also have no holding costs whatsoever, but we do have a lot of hiring and firing costs. And our total cost here now is a little bit higher than what we would have had we followed original planning using Solver. But there are also additional costs obviously having to do with employee motivation and their willingness to work in such a volatile environment. But the bottom line here is that we can use this model. We can try different things as a manager. We can now turn around and create constant production and gear up the number of employees to meet constant production. There are a number of ways that we can try things in this model to see what is the most effective way to match demand with production at the lowest cost while we also control the number of employees we have on the line.